Clark, a two-guard, cosplaying as a point guard. Now Caitlin Clark is cosplaying as a point guard. It's ridiculous. There's still a lot when you consider she's responsible for over 45% of the Fever's offense, but she averages 5 turnovers. This is a full-on hit piece article trying to say how Paige Bueckers is the face of this whole league, and Caitlin
Calling
Clark
Caitlin Clark a shooting guard pretending to be a point guard is not real analysis. It is a judgment disguised as analysis. And once you understand why that framing matters, the entire comparison with Paige Bueckers starts to look very different.
Articles coming out, complexes coming out, talking about how Paige Bueckers has took Caitlin Clark's spot. All of these people are being used as pawns until the next hope comes into the league. It was Angel Reese. They realized she's just not talented enough to be a legitimate rival of Caitlin Clark. They shifted to Paige Bueckers. Then they went to Olivia Miles as they wait for Juju Watkins, who will be the next.
The argument being pushed is simple. Paige Bueckers has supposedly taken Caitlin Clark's spot, passed her as a guard, and become the new player the league should build its future around. That is a strong claim, and strong claims are fair to debate in sports media. Players should be compared, and rankings should always be open to discussion. No player should have permanent ownership of the number 1 spot. But there is a difference between saying Paige is having a better stretch and rewriting everything Caitlin has already accomplished. There is also a difference between praising one player's strengths and focusing only on another player's weaknesses to create the impression that power has changed hands. That is where this story becomes interesting. The question is not whether Paige Bueckers is talented. She clearly is. The real question is whether the evidence shows that she has already replaced Caitlin Clark in performance, influence, responsibility, and overall importance to the league. Later, we also need to examine the part of this debate that may reveal the contradiction better than any box score. When the league faces a difficult cultural or controversial issue, which player do reporters still expect to answer for?
Here says how Paige Bueckers took Caitlin Clark's spot. Paige Buckets reigns supreme as the best guard in the WNBA. For now, how does she pass Caitlin Clark? What are y'all talking about? It's ridiculous. Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers have been friendly rivals for over a decade. They played against each other in middle school AAU tournaments, then were teammates on Team USA 19U squad. Okay. And it talks about how she's passed her up in scoring.
There is nothing wrong with comparing their scoring. Paige is an extremely polished scorer. She can score from different areas of the court, change speeds, create space without wasting movement, and punish defenders when they give her even a small opening. Her efficiency is a big part of what makes her impressive because the game often looks easy and controlled when she is playing well. But saying that she has passed Caitlin as a playmaker requires a much stronger argument than simply pointing to turnovers or shooting percentages. Playmaking is not just about counting assists. It is also about how much pressure a player puts on the defense, how many defenders she attracts, how often she creates an advantage before the final pass, and how much the offense depends on her decisions. One guard can make an easy pass to an open teammate and get an assist. Another guard can attract 2 defenders far from the basket, force a third defender to rotate early, create a 4-on-3 situation, and then make the pass that starts the play without receiving anything in the box score. Those possessions are not equal just because only one ends with an official assist. Caitlin's offensive responsibility has always been unusually large. She is expected to start the offense, score, move defenders, create fast break opportunities, feed the post, stretch the defense from deep, and make something happen when the offense breaks down late in the shot clock. That level of responsibility naturally creates more visible mistakes. It also creates opportunities that players with smaller roles do not have to create themselves. That does not mean her turnovers should be ignored. They matter. But turnovers should be judged alongside the volume and difficulty of the decisions she is making. Otherwise, the comparison rewards the player who is asked to handle less complexity while punishing the player who has the entire defense built around stopping her.
While Paige Bueckers leaves her mark primarily as a deadly 3-level scorer, she also stands as one of the league's more economical playmakers, and she's not some two-guard cosplaying as a table setter. They're calling Caitlin Clark a two-guard cosplaying as a point guard. Now Caitlin Clark is cosplaying as a point guard. It's ridiculous. There's still a lot when you consider she's responsible for over 45% of the Fever's offense.
Listen carefully to the language being used. Paige is described as economical, calm, and authentic. At the same time, Caitlin is presented almost like an imposter, as if she is a shooting guard playing a role that does not really belong to her. That is not a neutral comparison based only on statistics. It gives one player more legitimacy while taking it away from the other. Caitlin Clark has spent years as a primary offensive organizer. She reads defensive traps, directs her teammates, changes the pace of the game, finds mismatches, and attempts passes that very few players can even see. She has weaknesses at the position, especially when defenses pressure her and force her to make rushed decisions. Every lead guard has those moments. But saying she is only pretending to be a point guard ignores the major responsibility she has carried throughout both her college and professional career. Paige has a different style. She may play with more control and efficiency. She often chooses precision over volume, can score without controlling every possession, and can make the simple pass before the defense completely collapses. That difference should lead to a smart basketball discussion. Which style works better over time? Which player fits better alongside another creator? Which player can improve a weak offense more? Which one can stay efficient when defenses are specifically designed to stop her? Instead, the discussion becomes a personality contest disguised as basketball analysis. One player is calm, so she is called mature. The other shows frustration, so she is called deficient. One player is efficient, so she is considered a true point guard. The other makes turnovers while under heavy pressure, so people claim she is only pretending to be one. That kind of framing does not explain the basketball. It simply protects the conclusion people already want to make.
Why doesn't Paige Bueckers have to answer anything? They're saying Paige Bueckers is the better rebounder. Paige Bueckers has the better defense. Paige Bueckers is all the leadership. The viral video of Clark seemingly ignoring her teammate wasn't a good look. Paige Bueckers is calm, cool, collected, and surgical. So you didn't see Paige Bueckers clapping in a ref face. You didn't see Paige Bueckers. I mean, just come on, man. Enough's enough. This is a full-on hit piece. When they're talking about aura. Her
defense and
Instagram
rebounding are fair areas to compare. If Paige is defending better or contributing more consistently on the boards, then say it clearly and support it with actual game footage. Show how she handles screens, where she positions herself when she does not have the ball, whether opponents target her, and how often her defensive decisions stop an advantage before a shot even happens. Leadership can also be evaluated, but it is much harder to judge from short viral clips. A few seconds of Caitlin appearing to ignore a teammate cannot explain what is happening inside an entire locker room. We do not know what happened before the camera started, what was said afterward, or how her teammates view her during practices, film sessions, travel, and close games. The same standard should be used for Paige. A clip showing her smiling, staying calm, or talking with a teammate does not prove that she is a perfect leader. It only shows one moment. This is where modern sports coverage can become misleading. A camera captures 5 seconds, the internet creates a story about what that moment means, and then an article uses people's reactions to that story as proof of the original claim. By the end, people are no longer comparing basketball players. They are comparing characters created by people outside the locker room. Paige is presented as the calm, stylish, and efficient alternative, while Caitlin is presented as the emotional and inefficient player whose position is supposedly waiting to be taken. Once these roles are created, every new moment is interpreted in a way that supports them. That is not fair evaluation. It is simply maintaining a narrative.
Gilbert has done such a dog job in terms of letting it be known Caitlin Clark is the face of this league and treating her as such. She's changed the dynamics of this league forever. She's made everyone rich. She's brought all the viewers, but they want to credit everyone else without giving them the responsibility.
Now the debate moves beyond basketball and toward institutional responsibility. Caitlin Clark's impact cannot be discussed honestly without recognizing how big it has been. Her arrival changed TV interest, attendance, merchandise demand, media coverage, and the amount of attention given to regular season games. She did not create the league, and she is not responsible for every game or every success. Many generations of players helped build the league before she arrived, and today's stars continue to support it. But it is also misleading to ignore Caitlin's individual impact and simply call it normal league growth. The WNBA benefits from having many stars. It needs Paige, Aya Wilson, Nafisa Collier, Kelsey Mitchell, Angel Reese, Sabrina Ionescu, Olivia Miles, and every player who can bring in a different audience. Creating several recognizable stars is not an attack on Caitlin. It is simply good business. The problem starts when promotion turns into a story about replacing one player with another. Instead of saying Paige is becoming another major star, the message becomes that Paige has taken Caitlin's place. Instead of making the stage bigger, it suggests that one player must be pushed out of the center so another player can take her spot. This creates unnecessary conflict between fan bases, puts extra pressure on young players, and makes every performance feel like a test of whether one player is more legitimate than another. Paige does not need Caitlyn to fail for her career to be successful. Caitlyn does not need Paige to struggle for her influence to remain important. But replacement stories spread faster than stories about both players succeeding because conflict gets more clicks. The reason is simple: a headline saying 2 elite guards can both help transform the league sounds reasonable, while a headline saying one player has taken the other player's place creates an argument. Once that argument starts, the players can become tools in someone else's business strategy.
The question to you is, if Paige Bueckers has taken Caitlyn Clark's spot, why isn't she being the one who's forced to give her opinion on transgenders? Why doesn't she have to speak out and be the face and the voice for all of this stuff going on? Why does it have to be Caitlyn Clark if Paige Bueckers has taken her spot? And she's the face, and she's this, and she's that. See, y'all want to give her all the acclaim that Caitlyn Clark has earned, but y'all don't want to give the responsibility.
This is the main contradiction. When writers want to celebrate the next face of the league, Paige can be ranked above Caitlyn. But when reporters want a player to respond to a controversial social or political issue, the questions often go back to Caitlyn. That does not mean Paige is less important. It shows that the people asking these questions still recognize where the biggest public attention is. Being the face of the league brings opportunities, endorsements, praise, and attention, but it also comes with pressure that has nothing to do with basketball. Every answer can become a headline. Every silence can become a headline. Even a facial expression can be used as evidence by people who already have an opinion about what the player represents. Caitlyn is often expected to speak not only as an Indiana Fever guard, but also as a symbol for millions of people who have very different opinions. That is an impossible position to be in. Whatever she says will make one group happy, upset another group, and be misunderstood by a third group. If Paige has truly replaced Caitlyn as the center of the league, then the expectations should change too. The difficult questions, public pressure, and constant attention should follow the new face of the league, but that often does not happen. This shows the difference between promotional praise and real responsibility. Paige can be called the new face of the league in comparisons, while Caitlyn is still treated as the main public representative when controversial issues come up. You cannot logically say that one player has taken the throne while continuing to expect the other player to handle the pressure whenever the league faces controversy.